Dear students, in this module, we will discuss the quality of age sex structure data in India. As you are aware, we often use the age structure data for various purposes in demography, but it is important that we identify the types of errors in this data and the biases that are expected to arise in this data, so that we will have a comprehensive idea how do we use this data and what are the limitations the data available both in India and also in the general context. As we have already learned, age and sex are the two most important characteristics of the human population, which has implications for the human health, for the economy, for the human development and society in general. For each person's, their education, their health, their income and even any welfare measures depend on their age and the gender. So, the age and sex data is vitally important for various reasons, and as such the quality of age and sex data are also significantly important for any countries of the world. Population data by age and sex are more widely used for population projections and serve as a basis for the forecast of socio-economic indicators such as size, the structure, labor force, school enrollment and dependency ratio. These data are also used to calculate various demographic indicators like any age specific rates such as age specific fertility rates, age specific mortality rate, age specific marriage rate, age specific migration rate and so on and so forth. So, most of the demographic indicators thus use age and sex as specific characteristics for any estimation. These indicators are also in turn the basis for calculation of any aggregate demographic rates such as the total fertility rate, which is computed from the age specific fertility rate. So, age and sex data is mandatorily should be available. Life expectancy, which is also estimated separately for male and female based on the data available on the age specific mortality rates, and also age at marriage, which also often estimated separately for males and females. Thus, all these data necessarily require the information on age and sex of the population. However, if the quality of age and sex data is not accurate, then all the rates, ratios and the indicators computed in demography will also turn out to be wrong. Therefore, it is very important that we assess the quality of the demographic data and make corrective measures to improve the quality, so that we get accurate demographic estimates in all the indicators which are necessary for planning and program implementation. What are the important sources of demographic data? In India, there are various sources available for the demographic data. Firstly, the National Population Census, which is the decadal population census. The data from decadal population census are available for every decade in the period 1971, 1981, 1991, 2001, 2011 and so on and so forth. The data starts as early as 1881 and the census data invariably gives you the information on age and sex of the population. Although incomplete in many sense, this data is widely used for various purposes of policy and planning. The second important sources of data is the civil registration system, which is the registration of births, deaths and marriages in a particular country. The civil registration system data also expected to provide the age and sex data of the characteristics of the mother or the households or the father and so on. Also, at the time of registration, it is expected that the parents provide the accurate date of birth of the child and, in case of mortality, accurate date of deceased persons, the death information. Therefore, the death and birth registration data, if complete, can provide very accurate information on the age and sex data. Since the coverage of the civil registration system is not adequate in the country, in India, the sample registration system is often used to understand the birth and death statistics. The sample registration system can also be affected by various errors which occurs because of the age and sex distribution. Because sample registration system also estimates most of the demographic indicators for the country, like the birth rate, the death rate, life expectancy, fertility rates, total fertility rate, which many of which requires the information on age and sex data. The survey, like large scale surveys like NFHS, DLHS and other large scale surveys, also tries to capture the age and sex information in the country. The surveys are also have critical challenge in obtaining accurate age and sex data, because again the estimates of the surveys will definitely depend critically on the information available on age and sex. The demographic data usually consists of data on age, occupation, religion, marital status, etc. The collection and analysis of these data are usually to attain administrative, planning or research purposes. Therefore, the quality of this data classified by age and sex are of vital importance for any program and policy purposes. The demographic variables, as I have already pointed out, like the crude birth rate CBR, the total fertility rate TFR, the infant mortality rate IMR and the life expectancy at birth, all depends on the quality of the age and sex data. Now let us turn back to what are the possible errors which can occur in the demographic data. Undoubtedly, the accuracy of the demographic statistics varies from one country to another and one region to another. So, the deficiencies are most commonly observed in developing countries as compared to the developed countries, because among other problems of lack of administrative machinery, individual ignorance are much higher in the developing countries as compared to the developed countries. Therefore, errors in demographic data are mainly of two types. The errors in demographic data are mainly two types. One is the coverage error and second is the content error. What is coverage error? The coverage error occurs due to persons being missed or counted more than once. So, there are two types. Firstly, it is called under enumeration at this stage, where actually the persons who was expected to be counted are really not counted, which will miss the information. So, if it is a population count, the number of people counted in the population will be less than what is the real total population of that place or of that country. The second type of error is in the coverage error is called over enumeration. That is the balance, that the over enumeration means a person is possibly double counted or counted more than once in a census or in a survey. It is possible in a situation when there are large migration exist that a person is counted in his normal usual place of residence as well as in a place where he currently lives after migration. So, in such cases there are possibilities of double counting a person. So, the coverage error are thus two types. In one case they are not enumerated or not counted, while in the second case they are counted more than once. Finally, the balance of the two types of errors represent the net under enumeration of age or sex characteristics. The second type of error which commonly occurs in a survey is known as content error. The content error refers to the instance where the characteristics of a person is counted in a census or in a survey or in a registration of vital events incorrectly, and they are used for tabulation and final calculation. So, the content error is primarily an capturing an information incorrectly. There are 5 principal sources of content error, how an information can be captured incorrectly. So, firstly, it can be because of the respondent. When a respondent who gives the information on the age and sex characteristics of a population, age and sex characteristics of the members of the household, intentionally or perhaps unintentionally fail to give the appropriate information required. It is possible that the person who is giving the response on behalf of that household is unaware of the exact age of the member of the household, or it is possible that that person miss certain information, or the person intentionally give an inaccurate information, which many often happens in many indicators. The second principal source of errors happens because of the enumerator who asks these questions to the household. The enumerator classifies a person incorrectly even though the person gives correct information. That is, either the enumerator heard the information wrongly, or it is possible that carelessness has led to reporting incorrect information, or the question was asked in such a way that the respondent could give only the information in a wrong way. The third principal sources of errors are when the coding process happens, because after the census or after the surveys, the information is classified and coded to be used for further analysis. When the coding process takes place, errors can happen due to the failure to allocate information on the census or the survey schedule a proper code. If the coding has been done wrongly, although the information was collected correctly by the investigator as well as by the respondent, as well as the respondent provide the correct information, the coding process, one can expect certain errors which creep in. Finally, there are also problems with the editing process. Errors may arise at the stage of compiling or the process when the questionnaire which is received from a respondent is edited. So, often such editing is done to make sure that all the information collected are accurate and complete in all respect. And if the editing, during the editing process, a slight changes have been made in without knowingly or unknowingly, so the data which is captured from the field can become inaccurate. Let us now turn back to first to the errors which are commonly observed in the age data, and then we will come back to the errors which are occurred in the sex data. As already known, age is a very vital information for almost all demographic analysis. So, collecting accurate information of age data is of vital importance to get accurate and reliable estimate for any indicators. The demographic data are usually classified by age and sex. Therefore, errors in age reporting are more frequent in age data than in sex data. It is many studies have shown that age reporting is many often very problematic than the reporting of sex. The following are the major data problems which is found in an age reporting. Firstly, underreporting of children aged less than 1 year or less than 5 years. In any survey or census, is many often found that the number of children in the younger age group are much lower than the subsequent age group. It is primarily because many surveys record an underreporting of children at the younger age group due to various factors, both cultural as well as the factors which were beyond the scope of the investigators or the respondent. It is possible that the child is born in a different households, primarily because of the cultural practices of women going to their natal homes for the delivery, and when the child come back, or if the information is provided before the child's arrival, the date of birth or the age data which is provided to the respondent becoming wrong, and thus way the reporting of the child as such, there is also often found to be serious problem of the coverage, or the age data of the child is often inflated than it is accurately provided. So, there are various ways in which the information on the child the data so there are various ways in which the errors can creep in the data on the age of the child, particularly at very younger ages, less than 5 years. Secondly, the tendency to give an exact age of some legal significance is also often associated with a census or a survey. For instance, suppose in a country the voting age is 21, many of the group of people who are less than 20 or less than 21 are often given as age of 21, so that they will be able to vote in the democratic process. Or if the legal age at marriage is 18, many of those who are close to 18 are also reporting age 18, so that in case the marriage takes place, that will not have any legal hurdles. So that way, there is often a tendency in many census and surveys to wrongly report age because of some legal complications. Thirdly, the report an age with some digit preference is also often noticed in the case of census and surveys. This is particularly true towards the advanced ages. For instance, a person who is 50 years old often report 50 even when he is either 49 or 51 or close to 50. This is also true at ages at 60 or 70 or even 65 or 75. Those very close to that age often record an age of a certain digit preference. So such data you would see a heap in the population at certain particular ages as compared to other ages, which also have a wrong reporting of age. Finally, the reporting of some individual as being an unknown age is very often found in surveys and census in developing countries, particularly when the respondents are and they are unaware of the age of the many household members. So age unknown category in the total enumerated population or total counted population is becoming a serious issue, as they have to be distributed across the age group to get accurate estimates of population count as well as to estimate other demographic indicators. Therefore, such reporting of age as unknown also creates serious problem in the total quality of the age data. We have already pointed out the age heaping that are very common in the census as well as survey data in the country. There are also unconscious prejudices and biases for numbers ending with certain digits, particularly those ending with 0 and 5 in developing countries. This is very commonly observed in the case of India, because an analysis of census data in India will show you that most of the population are located within the age group of 0 and 5, and there has been significantly much lower population in other age group between 0 and 5 in across all the ages. So let us now turn back to the quality of sex data. Like in the case of ages, there is also serious problems with the quality of the sex enumeration. For instance, the data quality is often poor among females than males, because it is often found that the females are more undercounted, or the ages of females are systematically wrongly reported than their males counterparts. Secondly, the females are also systematically under-enumerated than males for various reasons. These are partly because of the cultural practices which is existing in the country, and also because of other reasons which are very commonly associated with the society. For instance, if the woman is married to the other households, it is possible that sometimes women are double counted in both the places, or the women is not counted in either of these places. Thirdly, this is true in every ages, and particularly in the younger ages, that women are not counted or women's age is wrongly reported, because in case in a very patriarchal system where there is strong son preference, these households may not would like to report an additional female born when they were eagerly waiting for a son compared to a girl child. So, there are several ways thus the females may be undercounted or females age is reported wrongly and the sex composition of the population can wrongly be reported in the country. There are several methods to assess the quality of age data which are proposed, which will give an understanding of the quality as well as the problems with the age data. Some of the major methods available in this to understand the age data are: one is Whipple's index, which will give you the digit preference, and secondly the Mayer's blended index, which also provide an information on the age accuracy, and United Nations joint score or accuracy index based on age data, which also provide an information on the quality of the age data. What is Whipple's index? Whipple's index is primarily an index which is expected to provide information on the quality of the age data. Because one type of common error related to age in population census or demographic surveys is age heaping, which occurs most often for ages ending in 0 and 5. So, Whipple's index tries to look into this heaping and gives an assessment of the extent of this heaping, so that some adjustment later can be made to smoothen the data and use for demographic estimates. The Mayer's index, blended index, the Mayer's blended index is also an extension of the Whipple's index, because the Whipple's index does not allow determination in a population census of which ending with digits are preferred when respondents state their age other than 0 and 5. So, Mayer's index that way captures the age preferences in all the ages compared to the 0 and 5 ages. The other method which is proposed by UN joint score, accuracy age index, also tries to capture the accuracy of the age data and digit preference by considering the data which is for age group 5 years and above. To sum up, we have seen that age and sex are two vital important characteristics for the demographic characteristics as well as demographic indicator, which are used for the estimation of several demographic indicators, whether it is fertility, whether it is mortality, whether it is migration, whether it is marriage, all use age and sex information for deriving indicators. Age and sex data is also widely used for socioeconomic planning, political administrative purposes, research, and several other programs and policy interventions. Therefore, accurate age and sex data is of very vital importance. But unfortunately, in many developing countries and including India, there are different problems associated with age and sex data. To understand the quality of this data, to estimate the problems that arise this quality is of very important. There are different methods proposed to assess the quality, such as Whipple's index, Mayer's blended index, and even accuracy index, which will give you relatively good idea about the problems with this data, which can be corrected later through adequate and appropriate measures. Thank you.